Welcome on back, everybody, to another episode of Comic Conquest. We drink chocolate milk and we talk about Moon Knight, episode 4.
The tomb. Enter the tomb. Something.
Enter the tomb. And we picked up right where we left off last week, August, with
them in the desert.
And he's passed out, and Layla's like, "Wake up!" And there was a little tense scene or whatever. And I was kind of surprised at the direction of this episode. He kind of just said, fuck Khonshu. We're going straight for the tomb. And instead of Giza or freeing Khonshu, I should also mention, this will relate back to the predictions of this video, but the opening of this episode started with one of the gods' avatars putting Khonshu's statue in a room full of other statues. Meaning that they've sealed a lot of gods.
Yeah, and if you don't know, Egypt is notorious for having just a shit ton of gods. Like, they've got so many.
Yeah, and it'll come back for full circle, but I just forgot to say that. And they go straight for the tomb, really, after a tense scene, shootout, whatever, some bullshit, flare, pop, 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 pop. We're moving. And it's like, we get to the tomb, and then they're like, on foot from here, pop, 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 pop. And we get to the campsite, and it's like almost abandoned, looks like. They've had the tomb open, it's almost abandoned, they're searching through it. And Steven's feeling himself, dog, with Layla. He's like... And
hey, yo, baby.
Marc in the mirror, like, you like my wife, dog? And Steven's like...
Our wife.
Yeah, our wife. There's also that moment where he's like, Marc is like, let me have the body, I know how to do this. And Steven's like, well, that means I know how to do this. Muscle memory and that. And they're gonna jump down into the tomb, and before that happens, there's some
smoochy.
But before that, Steven's like, Marc protecting you from Khonshu, that's why he abandoned you. And then she's like, what the fuck is wrong with you, dog? I just wanted a smooch. And then he gets it in the end, and they jump down to the tomb, and this is when the set design, I think, really pops out.
Oh yeah, it's so good, because I think most of it is actual, like, practical set. So
yeah, and the tension I dug, but of course that comes later. And of course Steven has to make his quippy comments, which I like this part of Steven's character, I think, like, where he's the more intelligent one compared to the fucking muscle that Marc is. And we get some more of Layla's father moments, like, this is what my dad, daddy. And
my dad's dead.
Yeah. And they move into the tomb, and then we see they have, like, the puzzle thing, the maze bullshit. I actually dug most of this. It's more, it felt like they kind of mention it in the back half of this episode, but it's like an Indiana Jones, like if Indiana Jones had a special episode.
It's an adventure movie kind of feel.
Yeah, and they're exploring or whatever, and they get to that room where the
mummification room.
Yeah, the mummification room where the priests are standing there with the mummification table, and that's when we hear, oh, Stevens, you see all the blood and shit on it, and the guts and the bubble, and then we hear the screams and the blood. And this is, I wasn't expecting this, and I really dug this. It was almost, I'm not gonna say horror-ish, because if you watch horror movies, it wasn't really like it. It was just suspenseful, and it had, they were building tension. And since it was on Disney Plus, I wasn't sure if they were gonna do, like, jump scares, yeah, and like a live mummification of someone, and they did. So I dug it. And of course, I also want to say, I think it was awesome they went practically for the mummification guy, the priest. Like, that was obviously just a guy in makeup. It made it a lot better. I think they did. There's actually a lot of practical stuff in this episode, and I think it really works out for them.
Yeah.
And they're exploring the room or whatever, and then the guy, he pulls the people in, it's live mummification, and then Steven and Layla get split up, and there's tension. There's like, what's gonna happen? And it was I think it was pretty creepy, dog. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like that scene where Steven's up top and the guy's like crawling up. I thought it was a little creepy for this, especially for Disney. Like I wasn't going in expecting it, so you know, it was there. And they end up getting split up or whatever, and then Layla's getting chased by the thing, and then she crosses like a Tomb Raider style, like big like opening, and she's like crawling over there. As the guy's like reaching out. It was very so yeah. And she gets to the end, and then we see Arthur Harrow, of course, at the other side, and he's like, "You bitch!" And she's like, "What do you mean?" And then he's like,
"Yo, Mark killed your daddy."
Yeah, he's like, "Mark killed your dad." And then she's like, "What?" Like she's initially like walking away, like "fuck this guy." And then she's like, "Mark killed your dad." And then she like pokes her head out again. She's like, "What'd you just say?" And we keep moving, and then we cut back to Steven, and Steven gets to the tomb. And in a twist of something that I was expecting, the pharaoh was Alexander the Great, which actually makes sense historical wise, but of course they twisted a little bit.
The lost tomb of Alexander.
Yeah,
that's cool. I wasn't expecting that. I mean, like, that's not my strongest area of like historical knowledge, but I know that Alexander's a big badass. So
yeah, it was really dope to see that, and that. It would make sense, right? If gods were picking avatars, Amit's gonna pick fucking Alexander the Great, right?
Carry out justice. It makes sense.
Yeah, and he's fucking, of course, nerding out. And then Mark, you see Mark in the reflection of the water, and he's like, "So you kissed my wife, huh?" And Steven's like,
"Not right now, bro."
Yeah. And we opened the tomb, and he's like, "Where's the little statue thing that they sealed Amit away with?" And Steven, of course, is like solving puzzles this whole fucking episode, which are like puzzles, I guess. And he's like, "Well, if Alexander the Great was the voice of Amit, they put it in the..." And it's in there, dog. And he pulls the thing out, and Layla gets there and is like, "Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you!" And then Steven's like, "Wasn't me, dog." And then Mark takes over, and this, like, he's like trying to make it right, and then he's like, "My partner killed your dad, and I was there, and I felt bad." And then they only met because he was going there to like say sorry to her or something. We moved to Arthur Harrow walking in, and fucking Mark is fighting.
Well, you forget to mention Arthur walks in with his whole gang, and then all have like rifles, automatic rifles. Yeah. and Mark's got this like a ceremonial axe, and he's just like, "Nah, I got this. Is fair."
Well, and I should also mention that Arthur, he like gives Mark a chance. He's like, "You no longer got Khonshu in your mind. Join us." And Mark's like, "Nah," just starts fucking hacking at people. And in my mind, I was like, "There's 20 guys with guns pointed at him. Wouldn't they just start going?" But
I mean, it depends if they're like. We haven't seen that they don't care for each other. They seem like they're a community. So him being next to a couple of them.
And I should also mention that Mark tells Layla to run.
Yeah. Layla's hiding at this point.
Yeah, and she sees Arthur get out his fucking 1940 revolver, and it's just like,
he shoots him twice.
Yeah, and he falls into the water, and this is when the episode gets interesting, right?
Yeah. So before we get into the interesting part, a lot of people were saying like, "Man, episode 4 is where it gets wild," and I'm like watching this, I'm like, "Oh, Alexander the Great, that's pretty wild."
That's pretty wild.
That's crazy.
You're right, because
he doesn't have his powers. This is wild.
How you just text me? That was funny. He texted me like, "What the fuck" or something. And this whole time I was watching this, I was like, This isn't like, what the fuck crazy. And then he gets in there, and we wake up, and the white insane asylum that has a bunch of.
I'm not sure we can say insane.
Yeah,
mental. The ward. Mental institution.
A correction facility. And there's a. This is dope, right? Because it's made up of Marc and Steven's like memories. I should also say before we get to the mental ward, they play the Stephen Grant Indiana Jones style like VHS 4x3 Snyder cut form.
You know, that format existed before the Snyder cut. You're the second person I've heard compare it to that, and I'm like, I know, guys, please wait, stop,
it's a joke.
Stop, stop.
Snyder cut in MCU. And the mental ward, and it's dope because we see every character we've seen so far in this. We see the golden statue man, we see the museum workers, we see the Egyptian guard that was with Midnight Man. We see a bunch of characters, we see a bunch of references, some old lady drawing a fucking Khonshu pigeon. And then we see Layla and Marc is sedated in a wheelchair, and he's holding a little Moon Knight figure, which is really dope. And he's staring at like glass with tropical, and they're playing bingo or whatever. And the only way I can describe this is like, it's real weird, dog.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say off-putting. I think parts of WandaVision were like, what the fuck? This was like, what?
It was off-putting at the very start of this little segment. Because I was like, holy shit, was none of this real? Is this where he got the idea for Steven? And then it's just like, is he imagining? No, he's not imagining it.
No.
I mean, he is imagining the
but it's like not
asylum,
his,
not the real world.
Yeah.
Irrelevant. But yeah, no, it was really interesting. But then he goes to talk to Arthur Harrow, right? Who is the psychiatrist
or
person, head psych evaluator.
He's like the Hugo Strange of this.
He's Hugo Strange. Yes, he's the Hugo
DC
Strange.
Confirmed in Marvel.
And
anyway.
And he seems really nice and like not insane.
Not Arthur Harrow.
Or not Arthur Harrow.
And I should mention, the office that they are in is the set from episode 2 where Steven's pushed out the window to summon Mr. Knight.
Is he really?
You'll see, if you see the side, there's that archway and there's pillars. I wasn't the one that figured this out. And then it's really weird because Arthur's like, you're sedated for your own good, blah blah blah, boo boo bop bop, and Marc is starting to like realize, he's like starting to remember whatever was happening, and he's like, you killed me, and he gets out of the chair and he's like waddling away on the floor, and he punches the glass out, opens the door, and the guys come in. The two guys. There was one that was like the cop or the fake cop from episode 2. The other guy I don't remember. Everybody's a reference to the show.
Yeah.
And they punch out, and he has like a little like brawl, and they're like, run. And then we get that scene from one of the TV spots where he's like running in the white outfit through the hallway. And we see him run from like just running room to room, and then all of a sudden we hear someone, help me, help me, and then it's shaking. It's like a little sarcophagus. He's like, help, and Marc's like, okay. And also I should mention there was a scene before this where, forgot to mention this was actually an important scene, where Marc is sitting in the wheelchair and he sees his reflection. He goes, Steven. And nothing happened.
So he was cured. It was like for this small bit, Marc was cured of his DID. So
Yeah, it was almost like you could almost see a worry in it when he was like, Steven, and nothing happened.
Steven.
He was like really confused. Anyway, he goes to the sarcophagus where it's like, help, help, and he opens it up.
And Steven pops out.
Yeah.
Marc and Steven they're going crazy. They're like, what do you remember? They're both in a physical
and they're really
form.
happy to see each other, which before they got shot was like a little rough, and now they're like together again, and
a familiar face.
Yeah, honestly. And they're like, we gotta fucking go, me and you, we just gotta escape. And they run, and then we see the other sarcophagus, August, shaking.
And they're like, no.
We'll pass.
It's like the showrunners are like, we know you know.
Yeah.
But not right now.
We know you. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
And they run, and they get to the end of the hallway.
Oh my god, it's so good. By the way, this is kind of like the tone I would want a Scarlet Spiders show to be like, with these two just being like, what the fuck?
And they open the door, and there is a hippo Egyptian god. I have little notes on her.
Right.
But yeah, and the episode ends with them screaming. It was so. In the front half of this, you're like, what the fuck is happening? And in the back half, you're like, what the fuck is happening?
Exactly. That's a great way. That's this episode.
So we'll go more into the prediction aspect of this, but we'll get to the review, August.
Review. 8.
8. I'll agree with that. I dug. First of all, as we mentioned, all the practical stuff that was happening.
Practical. Great.
Really sick. I wish we got more emphasis on that. And I like this episode for that reason. And 2, what the fuck was this episode?
What is going on?
It twisted and turned, and I really dug some of the tenser moments that I wasn't expecting from a Disney Plus show that was produced for Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, everything I'll say is the same. Some of the shots were great. I dug the story twist, as we mentioned, and I think we should get to the prediction.
Yeah.
Do you have any special predictions?
I think I had one, but I don't remember.
So we'll talk about. By the way, I should mention, the hippo god, Tourette or Tourette. Yeah, that was Steven when he was doing in the gift shop when he was packing up like the little plushies, they were of Tourette, and he makes a line about it. I should say Tourette, goddess of childbirth and pregnancy and like rebirth.
If it's rebirth, that makes sense.
Yeah. I think, of course, we're gonna have to. I'm really curious if they're gonna let Jake out of that sarcophagus. Of course, I got no fucking idea. It'd be even funnier if Jake wasn't in it. They open it and we're like, "Gotcha, bitch."
There's just a note that says "Got you, Marvel Studios."
Yeah.
It's like, did you just break the 5th dimension to do that? Like,
yeah, like that's the post-credit scene as they open the sarcophagus, and it's like.
Honestly, you might be right about that. Actually, that the sarcophagus opens and a mustachioed Oscar Isaac walks out, and he's like, "Let's go."
And there's a couple of things, of course. Me and August, we talk about the memes of Moon Knight. So many Moon Knight memes. They haven't really given us any. I think this is the place we have to get. We need at least one fucking meme here. I need one good meme. Of course, we got the random bullshit go thing. He didn't really say it, but I think it was a nod to that. I want them to see Dracula in this fucking escape that they're in. I think that would be so top tier. If you just see like a vampire or something, it would be so funny.
It'd be funny if the vampire was like, "I've got your money, I swear, Mark."
Yeah.
As they're like running through.
It would be so top tier.
But I think we did just get a solid meme template. Like, 100%.
For sure.
The two of them screaming. That's a good one right there.
And we'll get to the more story predictions. Of course, Steven was shot or Marc was shot, and they're in. What do you have any predictions of where they are, August? Before I say my piece,
they're probably in whatever the Egyptian death isle river Styx bullshit that I knew at one point what it was called, but there is like an Egyptian thing where you go down some kind of river and then your heart's weighted against some rock.
So that that makes sense. I was gonna say we saw the purple hippo at the end. And at the beginning of the episode, August, they show you all the sealed statues. And I'm not gonna be 100% on this, right? I'm like 75% sure. I'm willing to bet the hippo
all right,
is one of the sealed statues. And they're in like a mindscape of Steven's share. I'm not 100% sure, but you get where I'm going, right?
Yeah, no, I got you.
I think they're gonna try to look for Khonshu at this place that they are at. If there are other gods there, I can't see a reason why our pigeon friend Khonshu would not be there. I don't fully know how they're gonna break out of wherever they are. That seems a little crazy. And
Layla.
Of course,
the answer is Layla.
Yes. Like she goes and breaks out Khonshu because. Oh, that's actually a good point. Steven tells Layla that Khonshu wants her, and now that Marc's dead, she probably will go break Khonshu out. Bop boop bop beep bop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see where it goes, as we say every week. Do you have anything else, August, to talk about? Question for me?
Question for you?
I don't know.
What's your favorite color?
It's a good question. I don't know.
What? I do think we're definitely gonna see some kind of breakout scenario. We're gonna see Marc and Steven being able to communicate in a way that they haven't had before. So I think we'll get an interesting dynamic there.
Like the Zack and Cody movie all over. We're gonna break out the island.
Yeah, Zack and Cody, exactly.
I think that's it for us. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Next week we'll be back, of course, episode 5.
Will we be back? We'll probably be back. I think
I intend on being back. Thank you so much for watching.
We'll see
you next time.
See you. Bye.